Rockin' dads. Oh my God. I am so happy to be celebrating early Father's Day with everyone out there. Thanks to Shelly Harrison and the team at Luminary Leaders for giving me the platform to do my thing. My name is Paul Kreiter. You saw the graphic up there. My work is in brand storytelling. I help individuals find their voice, craft their story, and then get on stage to kill it in front of audiences, like a great rock concert, like a rockin' dad. It's There are so many things that connect me as a dad. As you might tell, I have this strange, quirky energy about me, which I've had all my entire life. It's actually made me into what I am in terms of brand storytelling, performances, stage work. I've been a teacher. I'm a performing artist. I make sure that when people step on stage, they connect with an audience immediately. That's my space. There's nothing like a quirky, funky, silly demeanor, from my perspective, that connects you with an audience. And at least in my upbringing, there is nothing that says dad or fatherhood than being like a total goof and the butt of the joke in a good way. Like, I can handle it. I got thick skin. But that's been my MO, growing up, ever since I was a kid. And that's what my kids, I have two boys, Jack and Elliot. Jack is 9, Elliot is 6.5. That's what they see from me. I'm constantly goofy, constantly entertaining, constantly getting them to sort of shake it up a little bit, because why the heck not? So I mentioned to you that I work in the storytelling space. I also make sure that for an event that you might be putting on for event planners, conferences, fundraisers, galas, trade shows, that when the talent takes the stage, there's nobody better than that person that I have helped you find. So not only do we get the story right and make it a audience inducing, engaging experience, but we also make sure that that story translates effectively on stage. So my love for the stage actually comes from a fatherhood story that my dad instilled in me. One's a little bit of a tearjerker. Well, maybe you will. And one is more of the rock and roll nature, and we'll get back to that in a second. So, unfortunately for my parents and me and my older sister at the time, at age 3, I was diagnosed with acute lymphocytic leukemia. Um, it is back in, this was 84. Was pretty rare thing to get, at least where I'm from. I was one of 2 kids in my region that got the diagnosis, and as you can imagine, no one plans for that. And because this is a Father's Day thing, certainly, I have an older sister. There's me, and I have a younger sister. So certainly, my dad was not expecting, neither was my mom or my sister, but not expecting that his fatherhood experience with his first male child would be as treacherous and as difficult and as complicated as it was. So for 2.5, 3 years, in and out of hospitals, you can imagine the stress and the anxiety and my experience. I remember everything as maybe you wouldn't imagine, but when you face those kinds of life moments, you can be 3, you can be 6, you can be 9, you can be 90, you could be 45. Something in you remembers it, wakes up, chronicles it, because it's not supposed to be that way. And you walk away from the experience changed, changed for good, changed maybe not for good. Um, but I remember a lot of my treatment protocols that my dad would go with me. And as you can imagine, 3, 4, 5-year-old kid, with bone marrow shots and transplants and chemotherapy and lots of finger pricks and wrist pricks to draw blood, and it's just like really an unpleasant experience. And I remember for the bone marrow uh, procedures, as a young person, doctors have to curl you up into a ball so that you expose your lower back to their giant drill needles that they put in you. Sorry, this is freaking anyone out, but I'm a storyteller. You're going to have to deal with it. Um, it's very painful and also very scary for a young person. My dad was always in the room with me, and he would tell me to squeeze his chin as hard as I could in order to sort of transfer some of that pain from my body to his. And that was one of our routines, and something I remember vividly in the many procedures I had to go through that were very painful. I'm obviously grateful to my father, to my mother, to my whole family that had to endure that experience. On the lighter side of things, I am completely healthy, and my family came through it. And growing up, in addition to the relationships that I had created with my father through those difficult moments, we also have a bond over music. I remember driving in the car. We live in the Chicago area, the north suburbs of Chicago, a place called Highland Park. I remember driving with my family up in our station wagons, driving north into Wisconsin to the Wisconsin Dells, Eagle River, these places where you can hang out on a lake and get in a log cabin. And at the time, my dad would put in cassette tapes. Anyone? Cassette tapes of Huey Lewis and the News, the Beach Boys, the Beatles. And I have this fond um, uh, bond with him over, quizzing me on who's the band, who's the leader, what's the name of the song, what's the next lyric. And I have this encyclopedic knowledge of music now because of my father, in part because of him. Music is a huge part of my life. The performing arts became, and music and dancing and singing became a medium for me to sort of purge any uh, difficult feelings or complicated feelings. It's sort of an energy, a good place to put energy, similar to like punching a punching bag. Rocking out on a guitar. I played electric guitar, the banjo, singing, dancing, performing, improv, all creative outlets to get the energy out. What I learned from that is, so you can use this creative energy to make other people feel good. Now, that goes back to the difficult experience that I had in overcoming cancer. So when you go through an experience like that, you can't help but see the faces around you. Certainly the smashed face of my dad when I would squeeze his chin as hard as possible, but the worry, the pain, the struggling, and you remember that, at least I did, sort of what other people are going through when you're going through that kind of experience. So when I got to learn, the love of music again from my father, and my natural skill and what I developed as a performing artist, as a musician, as a singer, and now someone who builds stories and helps put on events with amazing storytellers and thought leaders and celebrities and musicians, that my drive to do this work comes from wanting the people around me, my audience, if you will, to walk away feeling awesome, transformed, better. Because I would often, as a kid, have the faces I would see were panic and difficulty. So being healthy and knowing that I had this ability to connect with people in that way, I've always taken the opportunity to infuse that kind of energy, relationship building experience with the people that I meet. Because life is fleeting. You never know where someone is coming from. You never know where someone is going to. So, God forbid, if they have the 5-10 minutes with you, why shouldn't it be the most memorable experience, maybe of their entire day, maybe of their entire week? Maybe it's the greatest thing they will have ever seen, with you being on stage performing the heck out of something. And they walk away and they say, I've never been to an event like that before, ever in my life. So, my father being there for me in those rooms, struggling with my physical health, and then infusing this love and this energy for creativity and music. These are the skills that I use every day. These are the skills I use in my job. And I hope that I've translated that well to you. In terms of rock and roll, getting back to the rockin' dads. So, and my love for music and my dad's role in that. If anyone's a Beatles fan out there, Beatles. So I was walking in my hometown of Highland Park. I was walking down the sidewalk going to pick up a pizza for my family. And I'm walking behind an older man, probably my dad's age, probably in his 70s or mid 70s. And he was walking with his family, and I was just behind them, casually, not intentionally, but eavesdropping on their conversation. And I heard the man say, I used to be mad at my school. And naturally, if you're a Beatles fan, you might say, but I can't complain. And he looked at me and he goes, the teachers who taught me weren't cool. And I said, no, I can't complain. And then we continued the rest of the song. That song, it's getting better all the time. Yes, I admit it's getting better. It's getting better all the time since you've been mine. And he and I, this random stranger, started singing this Beatles song just randomly on the street in my hometown. He went on his way. I went on my way. We winked at each other and we said, ta-ta. So that in a nutshell is who I am as a professional, who I am personally. And those attributes, I can draw a straight line from my dad to me. And on that note, I hope you all out there find a way to celebrate your fathers. And whether it's quirky, whether it's sappy, I hope you find a way to rock your Father's Day with your dad. Peace out, everybody. I hope to connect with you soon. I'm Paul Kreiter.